Budapest by Billy Collins. My pen moves along the page like the snout of a strange animal, shaped like a human arm and dressed in the sleeve of a loose green sweater. I watch it sniffing the paper ceaselessly, intent as any forager that has nothing on its mind but the grubs and insects that will allow it to live another day. It wants only to be here tomorrow, dressed perhaps in a sleeve of a plaid shirt, nose pressed against the page, writing a few more dutiful lines while I gaze out the window and imagine Budapest, or some other city where I have never been. So, immediately you can see the similes, like the snout and like a human arm. I also noticed personification of the pen as an animal. For example, the snout of a strange animal, sniffing, and grubs and insects, as well as nose pressed against the page. These all remind me of animal-like qualities. I also recognize the transformation of the speaker or author from informal dress to formal dress. Dressed in the sleeve of a loose green sweater has the connotation of casual or informal clothing, and then it transforms into dressed perhaps in a sleeve of a plaid shirt. Now looking at the orange color, I noticed a dutiful tone by the speaker, demonstrating his writing is a necessity. The words, nothing on its mind but the grubs and insects, and it only wants to be here tomorrow, pressed against the page, writing dutiful lines. These are all very direct and concise words, which reveal the speaker's need to put words on paper. In the purple color, I noted while I gaze out the window, and this is a shift in the poem to a more imaginative tone. I noted in the last line, it is ironic, the title of the poem is Budapest, and the speaker dreams of going there, yet he has never actually been. So going back through the TP-cast method, starting with the title, I immediately recognized Budapest as a city in Hungary. It also reminded me of something exotic or of an opposite culture. A quick paraphrase of the poem is that the author is writing and it is an experience that is separate to himself. The hand is doing the work for him, and yet when he gazes out the window, he is inspired. As I mentioned earlier in my annotated poem, personification is a prevalent literary element, such as sniffing, moving without his control, the snout, etc. I also compared the animal or the pen's need for insects to the author's need for poetry and inspiration in his life. Moving on to attitude, I felt a very disconnected and detached tone from the speaker. It almost felt like he was somewhere else. The pen has a mind of its own, so I also felt a whimsical and imaginative tone. There is a shift in the line while I gaze out the window. His two different roles are emphasized and the disconnection is strengthened. When revisiting the title on a deeper level, it is ironic that it is called Budapest. The speaker has never been there, yet that's where his mind is, and this brings about the idea of an escape rather than a journey. Finally, one major theme introduced in the poem is the human experience of reality versus imagination. Billy Collins is expressing the importance of separating oneself from reality in order to be inspired. In the poem Budapest, Collins utilizes personification to demonstrate the speaker's lack of intellectual control when writing, ultimately revealing the human experience of reality versus imagination. While writing, the speaker is under the pen's control, which has nothing on its mind but the grubs and insects, therefore personifying the pen as an animal. The inability to move the pen illustrates his lack of creativity in reality. However, once envisioning fascinating cities, such as Budapest, the speaker becomes an imaginative writer due to his ability to disconnect from reality in order to seek inspiration.
My house in Budapest, my hidden treasure chest, golden grand piano, my beauty focused EOU. Ooh, you, ooh, I'd leave it all.